Global Longevity Summit is taking place between the 28th and 30th of October 2025 in Geneva, Switzerland. It's coming up fast. Mastering the Aging Clock in the Science of Longevity is under the banner Transform Your Practice and Patient Care. Now, the event is an unprecedented assembly of the world's most respected leaders in longevity science, healthcare, innovation, and anti-aging medicine. Now, Dr. Melissa Sundermann is a double board certified expert in internal and lifestyle medicine and founding chair of the Nature as Medicine Committee at the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. Now, she's widely recognized as Dr. Outdoors, and she inspires people to boost health through self-care and the power of nature. And Dr. Sundermann believes that age is not your cage and helps others find vitality at any stage of life, which I'm very interested in learning about. And she joins us here today. Melissa, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, well, it's really brilliant for you to be with us today. And I guess the conference, as I say, is coming up fast. So what will you be addressing at the Global Longevity Summit?
Right. I am thrilled to be heading to Geneva next week, and I'll be speaking on nutrition, fasting, and metabolism for longevity. And I'm going to be taking the angle as a clinician, as a lifestyle medicine clinician. I'm the medical director of lifestyle medicine for the largest healthcare system in the state of Michigan, where we have over 66,000 employees, 23 hospitals in our region. And I'm going to be talking about what this looks like on the ground. How do we implement healthy nutrition, fasting protocols, and try to optimize and elevate the health and well-being for our patients and population?
Yeah, great. Well, I've done two 5-day fasts myself this year, so one more to go. And I have to say, transformational, really, both in terms of how I felt, on day four, and likewise, some of the advantages of losing some weight as well, which is great. So I guess your focus is on nature as medicine. Now, how has that shaped your approach to lifestyle and obviously the patient care that you cover as well? I mean, it's a very interesting mix.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll just talk to you a little bit about that origin. As I was getting board certified in lifestyle medicine, I became board certified through the American College of Lifestyle Medicine in 2019, and this was with about 25 years of internal medicine primary care background. I was looking at the pillars of lifestyle medicine, which is really about food as medicine, sleep, stress management, movement, physical activity, positive social connection. And I thought to myself, what constitutes why I feel good? I'm 55 years young. Age is not my cage. I don't take any chronic medications for chronic diseases. And one of those key components is that I spend a lot of time outdoors. I try to get outdoors. A lot of times I'm moving my body outdoors. And so I started digging into the research, and I gave a keynote at the American College of Lifestyle Medicine annual conference in 2022. And my talk was right after Dr. Dean Ornish and Dr. T. Colin Campbell. So these are luminaries and pioneers in lifestyle medicine. And I got up there and I gave this talk, and so many people were interested in it. People were not aware of the power of nature in terms of stress management and elevating our natural killer cell activities and all of these attributes, modulating cortisol, that I became the founding chair of the Nature as Medicine Committee for the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. I recently came out with my book, Dr. Outdoors Guide to Nature and Lifestyle Medicine. And the more that I was digging into the research, I just couldn't believe it. And we know that nature has been around for a long, long time, and so many cultures have really had such a connection to nature. And I think this is so important nowadays as we've become so disconnected to our environment, disconnected to community, disconnected to ourselves. And if I can just inspire some people just to get outdoors, and I have this committee that I bring in speakers from all over the world to talk about, who are doing research, who are doing clinical work in this, and trying to prescribe nature just like we would prescribe a prescription. Just getting people to connect with themselves, and then that reciprocity too. The more that we connect with nature, I feel the more that we're going to care about nature and care about our planet. So it goes both ways.
Yeah. Well, I'm a avid dog walker, and I kind of breathe out when I get to the field where my dog and I get out to. So, obviously, as you say, Doctor Outdoors is the name that you operate under, and to share your thesis with everybody. How do you see nature working alongside these pillars of lifestyle medicine? Because it's kind of one of those things. Everybody likes evidence, right? And I guess that I'm sure with the work that you're doing, you're starting to bring that together, because I guess it's people, have this perception of their lives, right? They don't necessarily have access to all the open spaces that other people do. So, how do you practically build that into your practice activities?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll say that you may see on my name there that my medical degree is a DO, Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine, and how serendipitous that that fits with Doctor Outdoor. So when I give these talks to healthcare, I say, good thing I'm not an MD, because mud doctor doesn't have the same connotation as Doctor Outdoor. So it's perfect. And within the pillars of lifestyle medicine, which I mentioned before, there is the pillar of what used to be social connection, positive social connection. The American College of Lifestyle Medicine is now expanding that to connectedness. So I see that that pillar of connectedness is where our connection with environment really belongs. And through the research, and in fact I presented in Lisbon, Portugal at the Longevity Med Summit in May, and talking about the evidence, and really even looking at things in longevity, of looking at telomere lengthening and reduced biological age with more green space and more green space coverage. And ideally, yes, it'd be great if you could get out into a forest or a national park every day, but that's not realistic for so many people. And so talking about the research and evidence that we have about just exposure to tree-lined streets. So in big cities like Barcelona is doing incredible work right now of just trying to bring in trees and tree-lined streets, because we know that lowering the heat, lowering the carbon dioxide, of that carbon dioxide sequestration, can reduce stroke, can lower heart rate, blood pressure, can lower cortisol levels. So just being under a tree canopy, of going to urban parks. In New York City, we have Central Park. In Boston, we have the Boston Common. So just getting exposure there, or going to schoolyards. And then we're getting a lot of research about sound bites of just listening to bird song, of lowering feelings of anxiety and paranoia, of just even viewing nature. And a small study that came out a decade ago was looking at people who had just had their gallbladder out, so post-cholecystectomy. And all of these rooms, it was a very small study, about 46 patients, but each room had a window. Half of the windows faced some form of nature, maybe trees or a courtyard or some flowers, and the other windows just faced a brick wall. And what they found were the patients who had some view of nature had lower requirement for pain medication, shorter hospital stays, and the nurses had fewer negative evaluative comments, meaning that they behaved better. So that's just viewing nature or listening to nature, and also utilizing virtual reality in nature, just getting studies that are showing an increase in heart rate variability, of having more relaxation, more into that parasympathetic. So we know that it doesn't have to be this pristine, idyllic, blue space or green space. We can actually replicate this so that we can increase accessibility.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And I guess when you think about this in a in a patient kind of environment, is there any memorable patient stories that you can say, like, this is somebody who was in this state and then moved to this state? I mean, I guess it's kind of really interesting to understand how in a kind of N of one that would work.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's bringing this awareness, first of all, to clinicians, because a lot of clinicians don't even know that nature can be therapeutic. So delivering that, and then delivering this to my patients. And one patient who was in her mid-20s and really had struggled with refractory depression, trauma, PTSD, depression, anxiety, had been gaining weight, and then had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So we know that 80 to 9% of chronic diseases are lifestyle driven, right? So really the prescription was get outdoors and preferably move your body. Well, she took this to another level and ended up starting to hike. And she did a hike on Catalina Island in California, and something happened, right? She talks about she had a heavy backpack, right? It was full of equipment, but also full of negative feelings and anger and just, and as she started hiking and kept hiking, weight started dropping, that backpack started getting lighter, those feelings, started coming out of that backpack. And long story short, fast forward, she kept doing that. She lost weight. She reversed her type 2 diabetes. She was able to get off medication for her mental health, and her life was transformed. And it just started with taking a few steps outdoors in nature.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I guess, we all live these busy lives at the moment, and of course, a lot of people are like myself. I had one of my doctors said to me, just take a 20-minute walk at the end of the day and just get rid of some of that cortisol out of your body. So, what can people like me and others that are leading those busy lives, a lot of stress, what can they do to start really leaning into incorporating more outdoor activity into their lives?
Yeah, well, and you hit on it. You said 20 minutes, and when you look at the research, the nature dose is about 20 minutes per day. And just like
Okay.
we talk about movement, I talk about you can break that up into bite size, right? So if you're aiming for 20 minutes per day, 120 minutes per week, which is the nature dose, break that up. We're getting really great research about early morning sunlight exposure. So I encourage patients like step outside. Now, if you're moving your body, that's great, but maybe stepping outside to journal, to just, look at birds and look at your garden, have a cup of tea, and getting that early morning sunlight exposure without wearing any sunglasses. Just you don't have to look up at the sun, but you're getting that infrared light into the retina, into the suprachiasmatic nucleus, into that pineal gland. And what that does is it helps to regulate your circadian rhythm, helps to elevate your serotonin, which is your happy hormone, helps to regulate cortisol level. So that's just a really good thing if you can get out in the first part of the morning. And then looking at forms of movement and things that you can do outside. So it could be walking, it could be bird watching, it could be gardening, it could be, taking a hike, it could be, just biking or swimming, just finding something that you enjoy doing. And an exercise that I like to share with my patients about combining mindfulness and nature. A lot of people, get intimidated by mindfulness. They think that they have to, sit like a pretzel and chant, and they're like, I can't meditate. There's no way I can do that. So we talk about mindfulness of just being present in the moment. So I go through an exercise called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it's really just connecting with all 5 of your senses in nature. So I say, just step outside, and you can do this if you're 2 years old. You can do this if you're 102 years old. And first, pay attention to 5 things that you can see and just like really look around. So often we get trapped in our own thoughts. We're not even paying attention to what's going on. So look at the cloud formations, look at things that are bloom, look at things that are changing. Maybe you see some wildlife. And then shift to 4 things you can hear and like really listen. So maybe you're hearing all sorts of different bird song. Maybe you live in a city and you're hearing traffic, or maybe you're hearing the leaves rustle in the wind. And then shift to 3 things you can touch and actually touch things, like connect yourself with that touch. So feeling moss on a rock, or picking up a leaf and feeling the rough edges. And then 2 things you can smell, like is it a fresh rain and you're smelling petrichor, which is that smell, or maybe there's some flowers in bloom. And then I say maybe 1 thing you can taste. Now, if there's nothing safe to taste, you can just taste the air. And maybe you're near an ocean and you can kind of taste that salt. So that's just a good way to ground yourself, to be present, to be mindful, and connect in nature and spend time in nature. And anyone can do
Yeah,
it.
that's great. Yeah, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to try that tomorrow.
Okay,
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah. So, of course, what you're talking about, Melissa, is very much the fundamentals of basics. We've had open to us for thousands of years, right, as human beings. Of course, the work that you're doing in longevity and caring for people is exposing you to some of the other exciting things that are happening in the space there.
Yeah.
So, what do you see as the kind of developments and opportunities that you're seeing in the field of longevity that I guess, are maybe the sort of, relationships between the fundamentals and the tech that's out there. Anything that's getting your attention?
Yeah, I think it's so exciting. And I do some part-time concierge work with a group called Lifespan Medicine that is really about longevity medicine. And I tend to think of all of these as Venn diagrams. So integrative medicine, functional medicine, lifestyle medicine, and longevity. And they all have tools and exciting things that we can offer our patients. I say is like a toolbox. Now, being a lifestyle medicine physician, I will say foundationally, we need to optimize those lifestyle behaviors because there's some really cool things out there of exosomes and peptides and all kind of things. But if we haven't optimized those foundations of healthy dietary quality and moving our bodies and getting enough sleep and getting outdoors and managing our stress, some of those things are not going to have its full effect, right? So I say start there, and that's where I partner with my patients and I really help them. And I use health coaches and nutritionists and exercise physiologists to help really give the tools and the empowerment and the support. And then what else can we offer? As far as what supplements we can do, are there exosomes, are there peptides, are there plasmapheresis, apheresis? So I think it's really exciting to see where all of this is going. And I'm really honored to be a part of the community and the conversations to help drive things forward.
Yeah, well, that's amazing, Melissa. Just one point on that from a kind of patient journey perspective. Of course, people are reading, seeing things on Instagram, they're reading articles. I mean, is it quite hard to get people to sort of roll back and say, look, well, we're going to start with the basics first? That's not the exciting whiz bang things that they may have expected.
Yeah, so everyone's looking for the quick fix and the easy button, right? And the beauty of technology is we're having this conversation. I'm in Ann Arbor, Michigan, you're across the pond. Like, it's wonderful, but it also can be confusing with influencers out there, right? And so I really try to back what I do with evidence and really let my patients know this is not a quick fix. And oftentimes quick fixes don't work, right? And quick pleasures of quick dopamine releases, oftentimes long-term don't serve us that well. So we're in it for sustainable lifestyle behaviors. And I'm not putting you on a diet. I'm not having you do some exercise regimen for 30 days so then you can just quit doing it. I want to cultivate healthy living for you. And so that's what you choose to do, right? That's what feels good for your body. It feels good to nurture your body with whole foods. It feels good to move your body. It feels good to get restorative sleep and to have tools to manage your stress. So when I explain it that way and just say like, and I'm going to give you the tools to help you do this, because so often clinicians, and I have to admit, I did it for many years because we have 10 minutes with our patients. And so I would say, make sure you eat healthy and exercise. Well, that doesn't help anyone. So now in my role as medical director of a lifestyle medicine program, really knowing that, we need to utilize things like health coaches and nutritionists and exercise specialists to really give tools. And the transformative, stories that I've seen and outcomes with my patients of when we really do give them the proper tools, whatever that may be, they're doing great. They're doing great. And it's not quick fixes and it's not like these yo-yo behavior patterns, because behavior change is hard. So we just have to look at it for the long term.
Great, great. Well, Melissa, it's always a pleasure to meet people like yourself who are bringing us back to basics. And of course, best wishes for you and the other presenters at the Global Longevity Summit. It's coming up fast.
It is. Thanks so much for having me today.